Welcome in, everyone. Our Refugees podcast. Ted here. John back, returning back from his various travels that he does around our somewhat feeling less great United States right about now. But he's still here. John, welcome back. Hope you had a nice little break from the show. I manned the caves. I did 30 minutes of me just talking to myself.
I've been there. It's tough. I appreciate you carrying the logs for the both of us. Yeah, no, it was. I was hoping I'd come back after like a 5-0 victory for DC United just to pick apart with 75 people watching the live stream and comments. So unfortunately, it's not what we're talking about. That's okay. I'm still happy to be back. How was your weekend?
I was busy, man. It was Henny Derby. Of course, got to watch that live. So I watched the DC game kind of afterwards. So I think I watched like the last 20 minutes of the game, and so I missed most of it. And but yeah, went to the Kickers. Unfortunately, lost, but still a fun time. It's fun to see live soccer again. I get to see that now on a regular basis, so I'm enjoying that action. But other than that, man, I hope your weekend was good. A little bit restful after traveling, and
it was very restful. It was the most restful weekend I've had in a while, which I'm not complaining about at all. Not certainly time. Watched some soccer, watched a lot of baseball, which I'm sure you love. The first week is basically just all I'm doing is watching even random baseball teams. Tonight I want to watch. So the Oakland A's are now the Sacramento A's, although I think they're called the California A's. But they're playing in West Sacramento, right across from the place I used to live, and I used to live in apartments right across the street from the baseball stadium. And I would give a lot to be at this tiny stadium hosting a Major League Baseball game tonight. It's hilarious to me that they're doing it. I love it. It's so stupid.
So dumb.
It's exactly the kind of thing I love about sports. Is things that are stupid that should not exist, and this is one of them things.
Is it akin to when DC United played 2 games, one of which at the during the 2018 season when they played at the unit? Was it the Navy, the Navy Stadium?
I was there. I was at that game because it was stupid. Yes, exactly, Ted. There are things. I think I could write a short book about the things of sports that I love that are stupid. I love position players pitching because it's stupid. I love triples. I love anything that shouldn't happen. I love goalkeepers taking penalties. Anything stupid. And playing at Annapolis is stupid. So I had to be there for that. To your point. And
then the Maryland Soccerplex was the other one. I think it's the last professional game there was at the Maryland Soccerplex. DeMarcus Beasley complained, and then they were like, not to discount the Maryland Bobcats, who of course played. I know there's some Maryland Bobcat fans who are also DC United fans, so not to discount them. And I'm pretty sure I think the Spirit had some games afterwards there too. So I should probably just stop talking and not bring that up. But
it's okay. The ghost of Boyd's will haunt you either way.
I've been to that stadium too. I saw a Spirit game out of that stadium too. All right, you can tell we're definitely not interested in talking about this DC United game. Or maybe we are interested. I don't know. DC United 2-1 loss to the Columbus Crew. Troy the Sane kind of talk a lot of the negativity we're seeing. I found it interesting because there was a lot of negativity I felt in the Discord, through social media, people calling for Troy to be fired. And I was like, man, this game must have been awful. This must have been Columbus dominating the game. Maybe DC picks up a quick goal, but just overall, just not good. And to my surprise, it really wasn't that. Troy Lesane talked about it in the postgame. He said he thought this was the best played game. Matt Doyle, social media, talking about he thought this was their best played game. John, where do we fall on this game? Where do we fall? Obviously, disappointing result. Are we taking any positives? And I'm gonna fight for those positives.
Yeah, I mean the goals were stupid, right? They conceded against a much better team. They conceded a goal that I think horrible turnover by Pirani, a shot that should have been saved by June, I think, right, sort of right at his feet, and then a deflected goal from outside the 18. Which what are you gonna do? There's just nothing. They outstripped them on XG. They should have scored more. Benteke had his typical handful of chances that he converted one of. I don't know. I think the Orlando game was much worse, both in scoreline and also in what Orlando is, and then what Columbus is. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a bummer because it's just consecutive losses, and that's never fun. And to be so close, to be competitive against a team that's better than you at home, like you're like, all right, this would be one of those games we could draw and be happy, as opposed to the games early in the season when we drew against teams that were going to be worse than us, we thought. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think people are just mad that we're now into April and we don't look threatening. Really, we don't look altogether more together or offensive. And some of the players that were good last year are not being good. Some of the players we hope to improve have not really improved. Joao Pedro's really good, though. People should be happy about him. I mean, if nothing else, be happy. They seem to hit something. Hit something with him.
Yeah, and that's the game. I thought he was not really that effective against Orlando. Then again, nobody was. In this game, he was excellent. Of course, he picks up the assist. Just really threatening, sort of in the, driving to goal, putting himself in good positions. Even Pirani, I dare to say it, had some moments. He still is like really good on the dribble. His back check, I felt, or I call it back check. That's hockey terms probably, but his sort of back press, losing the ball, winning the ball, I thought was pretty effective. Again, it is just the chance creation remains like this, like the most important aspect of his role is a number 10, and it just isn't there. I think he had one sort of pass where he tried to sort of pick out Benteke, and there's just, I don't know, man. It's like watching, like you go out and you watch like Croy Bethune out there for the Washington Spirit. There are players that just have this it factor where they can have players kind of collapse on them, and they're still managed to just find that little window of space before they that timing before the collapse, and then they can play a ball out. And because they've allowed the defense to collapse, there's a wide open attacker and the goal is scored. We watched Croy Bethune do that time and time and time again for the Spirit last year. And I look at Pirani and I see sort of the similar mindset of like he dribbles the ball, he gets it into space, defenders collapse on him, and that just one pass either just takes that deflection, the one shot he maybe takes a deflection, and it just isn't there. So that's the one disappointment of the game. My other one call out, I will call out, obviously goal was unfortunate, but Kim Chung-hung came in and made some really nice saves, some real big time saves for this team. If he doesn't give up that goal, I think we are talking about a very, very good performance from him. And dude's still rocking that shoulder injury. I think he is possibly maybe a little more hurt than maybe he's letting on, and just kind of fighting through it. I think he came through like sort of a routine catch, kind of fell to the ground, and then was very clearly like wincing at his shoulder. So that injury is maybe bothering him.
Don't play through this, June. It's not worth it. Seriously, don't. Like I think go get healthy. There's not really any point that's a struggle, right? With goalkeepers that are young, particularly, like obviously talented, right? The shot stopping is there, but like, goalkeeper, I feel like the most valuable commodity for a goalkeeper, like the first thing is do no harm. Like, make no easy mistakes. That's job one. And then the next step of the ladder is make saves that no one else can make. And step 3 is be able to distribute the ball in a way that no one else can do. And 4 is do all of the things. And like, you skip the step. I think there have been probably not all of them. Certainly, I would say he's probably conceded. If you look at his stats, like on the year, as expected goals conceded and sort of where that nets. 69 percentile in goals conceded. I'm just trying to see the expected goals versus goals conceded. He is in the 4th percentile of the league. So 96% of goalkeepers have conceded less goals, and these stats are too small. Never mind.
It's trying. You're going to struggle to find. And again, goalkeeper, the analytics on goalkeepers, as I've talked about, is an extremely difficult thing to try to quantify. I think it's a situation too. Goalkeeper is kind of the one position where you lose that spot, you've kind of lost it for a while, unless there's like another injury that happens. It's akin to like the quarterback position in the NFL, where if you lose your starting role, it is infinitely harder to kind of regain that back. It's not like a position on the field where you lose your starting role and then you'll get substitute appearances, a chance to kind of earn your way sort of back into that roster. So I think it is maybe a case of like, I'm hurt. I can kind of play through this. And I don't want to give up my spot, because if I lose my spot, then one of these other kind of more older and experienced goalkeepers might have a good game, and then I'm stuck on the bench here for the rest of the game. So it's definitely goalkeeping's a different animal than sort of a lot of those moments. I think those games will come. I would also argue you're starting a 21-year-old goalkeeper. You're going to expect some imperfections. I would say from what I've seen so far, he's kind of maybe right at the level of what Alex Bono was last year. Makes some great saves, then doesn't really do some good things. But I would much rather have a goalkeeper at the level of an Alex Bono at 21 than an Alex Bono at the age of 29 or 30. Yeah. Kim Jung-ong is going to be a project. Definitely through sort of the next season. I think this was maybe, other than that goal, kind of his first sort of strong game as far as making saves, keeping the team alive. You have to hope that as he gets more experience, those types of things start to come. Let's go. Ryo77, we kind of talked some about some of the positives. Says, in my opinion, we looked much better in the losing effort against the Crew than against Orlando. It's pretty easy to say so. What positives did you take away from this game? I want to talk about Matty Patola. I thought Matty Patola was really good. A little more controlled, I think, in sort of his pressing. I think the biggest thing about Borussia, I think Borussia can be extremely effective, but he is very much a kind of, he really will commit kind of like the Red Bull type press, where we see Matty, I think, do a better job of sort of checking back, interrupting play. The amount of passive instances we've seen when this team gives up goals was not there in this game. They made it much more difficult, sort of once the Crew got the ball into that final third, to sort of give them clear opportunities or clear chances. They were there, and Kim Jong-un made some saves, but it didn't feel like, it felt like the team was much more committed to pressing. They knew who to mark, they knew where to mark, and I thought that was much improved from this game. Any other positives you had?
I'm glad that Dotson came in and did not look really super out of place. Herrera getting injured in the 33rd minute is historically the last thing I want to see for a DC United team. But I would also say that Herrera has not been integral to the offense so far this season. So I don't think we're likely to see if Herrera of last year being the sole focal point of wide play was hurt. Yeah, then it would be a game over. The only thing worse would be Benteke not being able to play. But hopefully, whatever the injury was, I don't know. I have not seen anything on it yet. It was minor. I still would like him to play, but Dotson stepped in and did well. Yeah,
I think it's a case of he's too important. And I think it's good to see that you have a capable, really a very capable backup in Derek Dotson, guy you can step in. I thought he looked very strong in this game. Crashing. I think he played a really, really excellent ball in the box over to Benteke, who had a sort of a mid-angle shot. And there were a couple moments in this game. I think another moment that stands out for me too was Peglo was sort of driving into the box, made a great run. I forget who played him the ball, but it was sort of a great pass. Might have even been a switch over the top. I'd have to go back and look and see who played that pass, but it was a really nice pass over the top. Peglo's in on goal and just can't quite sort of wrap that ball around the net. And Jared Stroud was sort of streaking there. If he sees him and kind of plays a sort of, hard pass, Jared Stroud has potentially a wide open chance at goal. And so that's kind of the story. I guess if you want to look at the negative, is this team did a really good job of moving the ball through the midfield, getting it into good opportunities, getting it into scoring at chances. The finishing just was not there. There was Peglo's chance. Benteke, you said, had a couple chances. The finishing was really the story in this game. And even, I think, Pirani certainly had those chances. Sean Bassard says, passing the opposition half, especially the final third, was horrible. Can it be fixed through coaching talent, or is it a talent issue? Good question. And we'll get into this to a minute. I think there's everybody kind of looks for the coach, looks for the scapegoat. Well, let me get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that question? I'm curious to what your thoughts are.
I think it's tough. I think it is not a coaching issue. I think it's a talent issue. That's sort of my guess on offense. For whatever reason in my mind, and I don't know if it's fair or not, I feel like the creativity inherent in scoring a soccer ball into the goal has a lot more to do with individuality and sort of skill and creativity and vision and whatever. And defense is about not those things. It's about reactivity and drilling and preparation and physicality. So like that defense always seems like something to me you can coach, you can instruct players of varying quality to do a decent job, but you can't make someone be creative. You can't make Perani be a good number 10.
Yeah.
Because you coach him well.
It's talent. I mean, I think that's the way to say it. And I think you can look at how this game evolved, how the team came out, responded, from a disappointing, 4-1 result. I think that was kind of maybe a wake-up call. And I think the question was, how would this team respond? And what this game shows me from Troy's perspective is the team is listening to him. They're going out, they're responding. And he is putting them in positions to be successful in this game. They had game planned this well. They went out and they were dangerous. They created chances. But when you look at certain individual moments, you look at Peglo, if he picks up his head, looks a little to the left, he sees Jared Stroud right there, lays off the ball, we might be talking about a different game. You look at obviously some of Perani's misses and his passing. Those are the types of things that you just can't, you can't coach. Those players either have it or they don't. And so I don't think there's a lot you can put on Troy for this game. I think this is all individual. And there was some unluckiness to it. And just some general changes. So we'll see if they can continue to recognize that and build on it. I think they've got a winnable game against San Jose.
Is it a coaching issue is going to be the theme for a lot of the questions we have on the rundown.
Yeah. Matt Doyle, we talked about this from Brandon Bergeron. Matt Doyle says, this was the best DC looked all season. Section of fans want Troy gone. Who's closer to reality?
Closer to reality is a very loaded question in that. I would say if he asked what do we think that was the best we've looked all season? I think if you factor in the opponent,
yes, then
yes. That's what I think. I think we've had spurts of better offense, better creativity, obviously throughout the season, but this was in totality against a good opponent the best we've done. And the goals, like we said, we conceded were dumb.
Well, let's address this. Let's address this question, because I think there is a section of the fan base that is after Troy. I want to get your thoughts. I've been preparing a whole speech, and so I want you to get your point out. So... I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to work on letting you talk more because I feel like I don't.
I don't think anyone's complaining about that, Ted. I don't think by the way, make sure you're leaving a review if you listen to the show. Let's leave a review on iTunes or Spotify. If it's let John talk more, then put that in there. I don't think that's going to be your pushback, but if it is, write it down. All right. So what do I think about that? Ted and I were talking about this before the show. If you do recall, my wild predictions was that Troy would be fired at some point in the season because of an underperforming Benteke and a soured relationship. I don't think that's going to be it. It's possible. It would be stupid. It would be really dumb. Do you want me to get into the reasons why? I don't want to steal your thunder on your speech.
No, I don't think you will. So go ahead.
Okay. I think if they made a panic move, if they said this is unacceptable, we have talked about changing the culture here, and we're going to be winners now, so we need to make a move at head coach. I don't know. I feel like the answer I always say that when you're going to fire the head coach is like, all right, well, who's going to make the playoffs with this team necessarily? Like as it currently constitutes, you offer a coach right now 1 DP and this roster, and be like, hey man, come on in. The expectation is not only playoffs, but we want exciting soccer, and we want it right now, and we want it before you have a chance to do anything in the window. And we just fired the guy that said that he was going to build us over time because we're so impatient. If that, to me, if that decision were to happen, it would not be from Allie. I feel like Allie is too invested in the project to make a move like this. If we had a weird ownership intercession here, that would be strange to me because they had been previously so okay with mediocrity, and they've not made a big expenditure change in the investment in the team. So if they were to all of a sudden start spending $30 million a year on transfers for their 3DPs or whatever it was, then you could say, yeah, ownership has the right to pull the plug here if it doesn't go well because of the investment they've made. That's not really what we're doing. It's really, it's really like it's smart buys and buying down debt and getting your GAM back in order. So to make a move here, to me, without the locker room being lost, which it does not seem like it is, that's the only way I think you got to get rid of him, because there's like a player mutiny going on here. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that would be, and so if they did this in April, this, to me, when Ali Mackay stepped in, there was a recognition. And it wasn't outwardly, but it was like, hey, we've been doing things, and there's been sort of how we've seen sort of them approach this roster build. There's been a rush job for the past 5 years. It's been stops and starts, rebuild, hiring a coach, firing a coach, starting over a rebuild, going through a rebuild again, trying to quickly rebuild. And it's why this team has missed the playoffs. You look at the last time this team committed. They committed to, we're going to start rebuilding this roster. It was 2017. Mid-season of 2017, they made those signings. That built all the way into the summer window of 2018. And that was, the culmination was, bringing in Wayne Rooney, having Acosta, having Lucharu. They made the playoffs, as the fourth team in the East. They made the playoffs in 2019. It's the last time they made the playoffs because they committed to some type of rebuild. And that brought them some monicum of success. It wasn't great success. It wasn't, out of this world success, but it was, they made the playoffs, which they haven't done since then. That is the last time they've done this. And then the past time it's been, we're going to start the rebuild with Ben. Nope, Ben's not working. We're going to get rid of him. Now we're going to bring in Hernan Losada. Okay, we got to get through, we had all these contracts signed. We got to get through that. Nope, we're going to fire Losada again. And then, okay, and then we're just going to bring in Wayne Rooney for a year. We just got through this, what would be the second year of Wayne Rooney's contract. To just make a move like this, I think, would be completely rash. It would go completely against all we have heard from Ali Mackay. It would make me not trust any more words out of Ali Mackay's mouth. I'd be like, that's it. I'm done. What's different? You're doing the same crap that you've been doing, that the old regime was doing for the past 5 years, and it's been terrible. I think you have to stick this out. I think, we'll get into this. DJ, I think DK in the Phil, I'm assuming it's DK in Philly, up on our Discord, says apparently on the Best Soccer Show Patreon with Jason Davis, great guy who covers a lot of American soccer, said he's speaking with someone deeply familiar with DCU. He says, not sure if they're affiliated with the club, but said if things keep going as they are going, Troy could be fired in a month or so. I don't know who he's speaking to, who he's talking to. That seems incredibly rash. I think especially after this performance, I think you would be crazy. You would see some things that are working. The team is still bought in. And you look again, like you talked about, the roster he's been given. I mean, what are the grand expectations of what he's been given? The team is apparently, the only thing that makes me wonder is, the team is sitting on a DP slot. I don't know if you heard the interview with Troy Lesane on Pitch Pass. Maybe they are looking at an actual designated player move before the April window. We haven't seen any of that. We'll get into some names that have been thrown around by fans, as crazy as they are. But no, this would be, I would hate this on so many levels. It would completely depress me for like the rest of the season, because it would just feel again like more of the same. And I know fans are frustrated. I know fans want to win. They say, I hear people all the time. I was like, this has been 10 years, but just because people are saying that online, doesn't mean, and I understand what those people are feeling. But at the end of the day, if we keep just like shuffling in coaches in and out, we're not going to solve the problem. Look at what Montreal is right now. Montreal's actually made the playoffs more recently than we have. And they're a mess because they just keep shuffling coaches in and out.
We have 3 times as many points as Toronto, Montreal, LA Galaxy, Ben Olsen's Houston Dynamo. We have 6 times as many points as the now Peter Vermes less Sporting Kansas City. A lot of teams are bad right now. And I think, who would you rather be as a DC United fan? Would you rather be Montreal? Would you rather be Toronto? Would you rather be the Galaxy? That one maybe. But Houston,
the Galaxy won a trophy last year. They got the MLS Cup, so they're paying with their
you take that one on the chin. It's fine. But I would rather want to be a Dynamo fan right now. I wouldn't want to be an SKC fan right now. I feel like we are on the trajectory that we are on is better. But if you fire a coach, then it's not about a vision, and then you just have to look at this roster, and then you're like, well, damn. At least I am. Like I'm relying on a upward trajectory arc that is all about we're buying players to fit this coach's and this GM's philosophy, and if you get rid of this coach, then I'm like, well, then why? Then I'm really going to get mad about having to watch Gabriel Prani every week. I'm really going to get mad about it. If there's not even if there's no payoff in this, and I'm just having to watch it, I'm mad. Same with Jarrett Stroud. Same with a whole bunch of players in this roster. What is the point of this guy if it's not to build to some other thing?
And that's, some people want to win, and they only see week to week, and they say this is bad. We're losing games. We're out winning games. I want to win games. I want to win games too. But I've also tried to recognize that this team has done this, short-term thinking, like signing, and that's how we got last year's roster, which was a mess. At the very least, we talked about, I think around this time last year, we're like, if this team has, 3 substitutes heading into this year, something has gone horribly wrong. Right now, they appear to have room, and they appear to be bringing in players. We had that one situation in the first game. Hey, you got your prediction right, John. Congratulations.
I'm on a roll, baby.
It has not repeated itself. There have been healthy players that have not been made the 18. Gavin Turner being one of them.
This is how it should be. This is pod racing. This is how we do it. By the way, just as a thing about how ridiculous it is to make predictions and how crazy MLS is. If I had given you 100 guesses to pick the top 5 of the Western Conference, and you told me, you would not have told me in those 100 guesses, Vancouver, Austin, San Diego, Minnesota, and Colorado as your top 5. Would not have happened. Even a random number generator wouldn't have got me that in 100 guesses.
Especially with Vancouver being in the Champions
playing
League
2 games a week.
Yeah, so wild stuff, and without Ryan Gauld,
and losing Ryan Gauld. So yeah, they're like, no problem, it's fine, we got this. Although they're slowing down a little bit, but how about that? I love, it drives me crazy when expansion teams are good. It just drives me crazy. I mean, they've got the extra juice, but historically, as a longtime MLS fan, we expect them to suck really bad when they come into the league. That's St. Louis broke the meta here, I think, 2 years ago, and now we're doomed.
Well, MLS, I think, is one of these leagues where I think because of the international market, they get a benefit. I mean, of the hit rates, there have been some bad expansion teams. The teams that go big are the ones who tend to be, the more successful, I guess. You look at Seattle, their expansion year was really good. They had a really strong foundation. There's still the bad ones. Minnesota struggled for a while. I'm trying to think of some other
Inter Miami cheated and had to.
Inter Miami were really bad, and just basically trying to figure out whenever Messi came. So yeah, it's always a mixed bag with expansion. I think the international market gives you opportunities.
The days where they're building through the college draft are gone. And that was a part of it.
Yeah. All right, we got Lodo, always RJN with RJN DC with the big amount of questions.
He helps us.
Let's talk a little bit. I feel like everybody, the loss and everything else, the game, where I think I can pinpoint the moments when people being positive maybe about this performance started to fade, and that's kind of in the last 15, 20 minutes of that game. And so everybody kind of remembers that because there was a lot of talk. Says, do you think DC United players are too differential to Benteke in scoring chances, looking to pass Benteke when he's guarded instead of taking the shot themselves?
I see plenty of shots they take themselves when Benteke is guarded and not guarded, and they typically go over the crossbar.
Yeah. I think there were some, I talked about Peglo's moment. I think Pirani at least had a couple chances that were blocked, and I think he may have even gotten a chance on goal. I think what you have to look at with this is I think you're getting late into games, and I think this is the one thing the team has kind of taken rolling the dice on some depth. They have the bodies there. I think it's a matter of they're trying to see if maybe they can get one or two of these guys to maybe become more consistent, depth options. Jacob Murrell showed up with a lot of fanfare. Everybody was talking about Jacob Murrell, going to the starting lineup and Jared Stroud being off the bench. Jacob Murrell has had two or three sub opportunities and has done very, very little with that. Really,
I hope he doesn't Eric Sorga it here and having one really amazing goal that everyone talks about and then just go silent for the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, even Eric Sorga's goal, wasn't that just like a really weird deflection? It beat the Red Bulls, I remember. Like I don't remember him having like any sort of.
It wasn't a bike. It wasn't a goal of the week nominee, but I just remember that it was like the crescendo of the start Eric Sorga movement, and then we know how that ended.
And we should be fair. I think the substitution, the Herrera substitution, I think possibly threw a wrench in maybe seeing some of these other players. I recall they really didn't. They threw out Dotson, and they really didn't have a lot of other players that they were that they really put out there. The subs, of course, were Dorsey, now Jacob Murrell, and Dominic Badji. Badji getting a lot of hate. I really didn't see. I thought Badji, when he came in, I thought things started to look a little bit better. They had sort of another option, another player kind of making the run. But a lot of other players didn't sort of make the roster. I think the Dotson substitute in kind of threw a little bit of a wrench into some of that. So I think it's a case of when they start to sub out some of those attacking players, I think Benteke kind of becomes the best option. They're in desperation mode. So you're going to, lug a bunch of balls into the box and try to do that. I think if you watch the first half, I would say Benteke is going to get is going to have the majority of those chances because he is the DP striker. But I would say like you add up everybody else's shots, and I think you would find a mostly, maybe either 60-40 or 50-50 split based on what I recall from that game. So it's still a lot of Benteke, but there is some. They are trying to fan it out a little bit as far as that goes. So, anything else you want to add to that, or? All right, another good question. I think we want to talk about how much longer do you think Pirani is given before try something else in the middle of the formation?
Is Randall Leal magically not made of has his thigh muscle weaved back together? It is not. It is still recovering. So the answer is he's not going anywhere. Is my answer.
He was upgraded to questionable.
He's in training.
Yeah, he's in training. He was updated to questionable. Karamoko has also been updated to questionable. So we got some players coming back. He's another kind of attacker who I think we haven't really seen yet. Who Mackay was really high. Boot? Yeah, who I think Mackay was really high on to start the year. I don't want to say starting. I think Pirani will start through the rest of April. I think you're going to start to see him be first off if Leal becomes healthy, and I think he's the answer. And a lot of people everybody is suggesting, we talked about this earlier, everybody's suggesting, switch, do this move and move, move players around, or, move Kojima up to like the right side and then put Stroud on the bench and, or put Kojima in the middle. It's not going to work the way you guys think it's going to work. I really don't I think we saw a lot of Kojima kind of higher up the field. I do not think he was as effective. And even in this game, he has a 6.0 from FootMob. I don't know if I agree with that. I thought he was.
I thought higher than that. I thought better than that. Better than a 6.
Yeah, just in his ability. He's getting better too. I think he struggled early on with his sort of checking back. And I think I look back on the Orlando game, the Chicago game, or I guess whenever he started to sort of play that role, he struggled kind of recognizing when to sort of press and actually like pick up runners, and that's what led to a lot of goals. He was much, much better in this game. So this is a smart player. This is a guy who really puts in a lot of work and looks to improve, and very coachable in the way. And I think moving him anywhere else in the field, you'll limit a lot of his benefits.
I always get struck by looking at this roster, like objectively, like taking a step back and like just 30,000 foot read the names on this roster. And you're wondering why we don't have like a attacking edge or somebody that can come or like it just isn't there. It is not there. If you just read the names in the midfield and the forwards, it's not a matter of coaching. It's not a matter of what formation you're playing. Is the horses are not there. That's really the situation in my mind.
Another question from our GM. Was Kojima and the Peltola partnership the best center midfield combination DC United's field this season? Do you think we're running out again against San Jose? I expect, assuming everybody's healthy, same lineup is going to be for San Jose. I think he indicates this was his best performance. So I think he's going to do that. So obviously talked about Troy Lissane's interview. I don't know if he had a chance to wasn't a big much, but kind of sort of explaining. It seems to me like the team is kind of holding out that 3-3, and there might be some differences in how I'm sort of interpreting how this rule works. Maybe it's you claim it and you have to hold it through the window, and then you can make your sort of decision and get the million in game. You can't be 2-4 and then switch it middle. I don't know. Who knows how it works? It's all Calvin Ball stuff. But DC is on the 3-3 model. They have an open DP slot, presumably an open international slot if McNulton gets his green card situation sorted. And there's a name that's come up, Gio Reyna. Duquesne Phil says,
I've not heard this.
Well, no, there's no rumor on it.
They made it up. Okay.
Yeah, this is all speculation.
Made it up.
There's talk about him in MLS. But let's talk about it. Gio Reyna says willing to come to MLS. Should we pursue him as a big blockbuster signing? What's his value? How much is ownership willing to spend? If you're Alan McKay, do you pursue him?
No, I don't. You know what team would accommodate a Gio Reyna, struggling for fitness, talented, but maybe not going to work both sides of the ball or be fully committed to the team necessarily long term because he knows it's just a conditioning stint, basically. A team that has 9/10 of the way there. A team that like a change in like the formation or the way that they're going to play is not going to disrupt things in a major way. This is not going to fix. This is not fix what's broken in my mind. I think you feel differently. You might want to go with this.
If he's there, man, that's a big. He's an extremely talented player on the field, and I would have some questions about his ability to back press. We've seen Pirani do it very well. That it would be a signing if he's there, if he's willing to come. I mean, I would think you would at least talk. You would at least see about it. He would be an incredibly talented player to have here. You're trying to get the most out of Benteke for a year, and maybe you're setting yourself up. I think you do it if you are not confident you are going to be able to bring in a number 10 or like a big time attacking player, and there's no one else on the roster and he is there. I think you make a move for it. I do think they have someone in mind. I think that's why they got the extra international slot. I think it sounds like from what Troy Lissane is talking about, like there are moves that they are looking to make, and they're always looking to make them. They're not sure if it's going to happen, by April. We'll see. You're seeing a lot of players from Europe now starting to trigger. I think Seattle just signed one. I think there was another one that was just signed. We're getting more towards like the end of the European season. Cup runs are over. Teams are kind of set, maybe in that mid-table. They're not really going to go up very high. They're not really going to go down very high. And now they're looking maybe to get a jump start on next year. And so they're looking to maybe sell assets. So this is kind of like the little mini sort of lull in the window where maybe they're looking to offload players. So we'll see. I mean, Gio Reyna, Dortmund have made no minds about him, wanting him to leave. I still think the destination, I could see him going to LA. I could see them putting him in LA for like a loan or like a quick 6-month contract or something like that, or even a year contract where he comes to LA, he fills sort of Ricky Puig's spot. If Ricky Puig goes like on a season-ending injury list. I believe on SoccerWise they're also talking about Chicago, which would be wild to see that happen with Greg Berhalter as coach.
The Neymar reheated rumor. I saw Antoine Griezmann to LAFC was the rumor I saw.
Yeah.
I don't know how they fit that one under I don't know if that's a 3-3. That's a 6 DP 3. What they have with the no goal scoring Olivier Giroud and anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if we'll hear any rumors coming. I don't know how close they are. I expect by the summer this team is going to have a DP though on their roster.
How Based on this team and who they've signed so far, and who the coach is, who the GM is, and they're looking for an impact player. When they name this player, will you A, ever have heard of them, or B, ever have seen them play without having to resort to CONCACAF, or not CONCACAF, UEFA Conference League highlights from? Do you think it'll be a player that anyone on the Discord has ever heard of before when we sign them to a DB contract?
Here's my thing. I think if he comes in April, it may be something internal within the league. It may be some type of either
Julian Gressel.
I mean, I'm kind of wondering what is Carlos Gill feeling about in New England right now? Is he really like on board with what's happening, like kind of the mess surrounding Bruce Arena, everything like that? A Derek Dotson, Hazani Dotson over in
Dotson overload
in Minnesota United. I think if it's that type of player, it'll be a player that is relatively well known amongst MLS fans. I think if it waits till the summer, I think it will be a player outside the league. I will make a prediction that it will be a player where we will have a full set of FBref stats that we can digest. It will not be from a league. It'll not be from a league where that is not possible, like we had this year, where we were like literally guessing with.
Dream big, boys. Dream big. Dream big that the stats are actually recorded in the internet. Man, that's a good one. That should have been one of your big predictions at the beginning of the year. That's a good one.
We'll see that prediction right. Hold me to that.
A player who both has played enough games to have a 365-day comparison, and B, plays in a league in which stats are compiled and captured and compared.
And I can watch at least a level of conference league. I can watch a conference league game. All right, Rich Myers, you asked a lot of questions here. Apologies for not getting to you. And I do want to ask, he seems a little more negative. Why did we defend so passively? Even our center backs, we back off so much. Basically, let them run with the man with the ball and do whatever they want. Pressure the ball. Do they need to press the man or stop or slow progress and then continue backing up? I think you saw a lot of the remedies need to come from the center of midfield. In that regard, the defenders are trying to back up to try to keep the ball in front of them, conceding space because they want to mark whoever attackers might be there. You need your midfielders, you need your Kojimas, your Peltolas, your Boris Inaus to be checking back and sort of interrupting that play. Even your Piranis as well, maybe sort of in that sort of middle third of the field, to be, actively trying to win that ball back and sort of slowing the progress up and preventing that. They were very much unsuccessful in that regard against Orlando. They were much more successful about that against Columbus, and it showed in the chances that they were generating. So, I think that was a worthy question, because I think after the Orlando game, definitely something we saw. Anything else you want to, I guess, touch on with DC United about this game? Anything?
Nope. Hopefully San Jose breaks the... Are they going out to San Jose too, right?
Yeah, they're going out to San Jose, man. This is the 30th anniversary game. It's supposed to commemorate the first ever MLS game. Hopefully it's a better result for DC than a 1-0 Eric Winalda goal. And we might be getting... Oh, we didn't talk. We might be getting a third kit too. There's going to be
everyone is, right?
Yeah, is it going to be revealed at this game? Like, I read something like that this is going to be like launched because it's like the third kit. I hope so the rumor on footy headlines that it's all white. No, I know everybody's talking. Everybody has the memories of the 2019 away kit. Like
sits over off screen in a hanger in a shelf thing.
I can't believe you actually bought that one, man. I had no intentions of buying that kit.
Which one? Sorry, not 2019. Red. I've got the red Dwayne De Rosario up.
Oh, the red. Yes, obviously the away kit. I'm wondering, like, if this kit is actually going to be launched next Sunday, and they're trying to like pay homage to like the end years. I wonder if it'll be like, if it is like the white kit with like the black, like some homage with like the 3 black stripes. man, dude, that kit will
I'd match that.
fly off the shelves. We'll see what it is, but exciting news about the team potentially getting a third kit. And game against San Jose, old coach Bruce Arena. Weird, like how everything kind of comes full circle with Bruce Arena coaching San Jose and then also playing in this 30th minute game. What's your prediction for this game? Go ahead and give me one.
Well, I wish I were there with the Left Coast Legion. I've probably seen more games at that stadium than any other non-DC stadium for soccer. I think it's probably like 3 or 4 games I've been to there. I'm going to say, for the sake of wanting to do this show next week, I'm not going to predict what I was thinking earlier. I'm going to say 2-1 DC, both goals Benteke. In my mind, it was 1-1, but I wanted to be more excited about it. So 2-1 is my.
I'm going 2-2. It's a rare where I'm less positive than you are.
Right. This is weird with the show. The meta is broken. If Ted is being more negative than I am,
I'm going to say Benteke goal. I'm going to say Pirani gets a goal. Why not? I think he.
All right, crazy now. Now you're just messing with me.
All right, that'll do it. Let's talk some Washington Spirit. 2-0 win over Bay FC. Probably the running story for the team was Hal Hirschfeld out with an ankle injury, Paige Mateer out. A lot of injuries for this team. Kate Wiesner hip, Rose Kawasi also out. So a lot of injuries, and of course Corey Bethune still kind of working her way back from her injury. But they come out and looked very, very good in this first half. Very quick, dominating possession. Want to say Mira, her like free kick service. I don't know if it's been noticed, but she's able to place a ball. And had a couple opportunities. Like one first opportunity, she gets a free kick, plays it right to Hatch's head. I think that's something maybe that's been kind of missing from the team. They have Santos who can, what's in the shooting range, she'll put it in the back of the net. But I don't think they've had a really since Sam Staub left, they haven't had a real like pinpoint delivery. And maybe that's been a reason why Hatch has suffered so much, because she is about as close to like kind of a target tight number 9 as you're going to get. Interesting thing. I thought that was interesting, and maybe something we'll watch. Any thoughts you had about this game? Or
super happy for Hatch. She had an opportunity before she scored 2. She had another opportunity to score the first one, so she could have had a first half hat trick on all headers, which is kind of wild. It's great that she is finding the back of the net. I don't know the number. They said it in the broadcast. Was it 60 goals? It was a high number. She's very high up in the league, sort of on her career stat line. I think Bay FC still figuring itself out. Had a run last season towards the end, got themselves in the playoffs. Obviously, if you recall, lost to the Spirit in penalties. I believe, was it penalties or extra time? It was penalties. They're still working their way back. I was surprised. The lineup kind of surprised me for Bay. I don't necessarily think that they were playing. I don't know if they're on short rest or what it is. I guess with Friday they might be on a bit of a short rest, but I thought they could have put out a little bit more offensive lineup out there. The big takeaway for me, it was a quote afterwards. It was a Trinity Rodman quote. I don't know if you saw this. Basically, it was like, "I'm going to be in pain forever. My back is never going to be the way it was when I was a rookie. I'm not that Trinity anymore. I have to be a different Trinity." I thought that was notable, particularly as a player who is seeking a new contract with the Spirit, and hopefully the richest contract in NWSL history so far. To basically admit, like, I don't know what I can be. I've been hurt. I'm not there. If you watch her right now, this was her first start of the season. She's not flying on all cylinders yet. I don't think she's clicking all the way. The instinct is there. I think like the speed is not there at the moment, and certainly not being clinical yet. And also the team is sort of playing differently at the moment too, I think, with that in mind. But I think that's notable to watch for Spirit fans. They're at a certain point, this team only went as far as Trinity. Like she was the offense and the defense on the wing. She would dominate the game every single time. And I think what she's trying to say is, I don't know where I'm at yet. And I think that we need to be prepared to sort of spread the things around. And that's what we're seeing so far this year. She hasn't been the reason why this team is winning it per se. The injuries are not good. Obviously, that I think they're slowly starting to come off of that. I think in the last game there were some players who made their first appearances off the bench. I personally am excited that McKenna Morris is getting as many minutes as she is my favorite player on the team, outside of sort of the players who get all the attention with national team call-ups and all that. I think she is serially underrated, and I think she's a great chance creator, great cross of the ball, puts her nose in the right spot. I think it's a good story that Chloe Ricketts continues to get minutes after I would say, campaign for the last 2 years of the show. Like, just please, God, play her or send her away. And now she's getting in pretty much every game. So that's cool. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was still that I think Rebecca Bernal is the best signing of the offseason. And it's not close. I think, obviously, a lot of the players they signed, they loaned off immediately. So that's not hard to beat. But I think she is an impressive player and has an ability, because of her versatility, to them to switch to three in the back at any point during the game without having to make any changes. She can just sort of float between the six and the third center back position. So I think that benefits them a lot, allows the fullbacks to get forward a lot more. Gabby Carl hurt herself. I think it was a hand injury, they said on the
Yeah.
It didn't look like a hand. I was surprised that if it's a hand, then I expect her to be back next week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's the good side, I guess.
Yeah, talking, I guess the only thing, you talk about the injuries, I think they really missed Hal Hirschfeld, center midfield. The second half, the first half was great, and then the second half, they kind of backed off, and it was, majority of that game was all Bay FC. They got very fortunate. There was a foul call, rightly so called, and I kind of got a little bit, the announcers were like, oh, I don't know if you, like she knows what she's doing there, and I'm like, yeah, but the attacker can also run around her. She doesn't have to lean in and shoulder challenge her right in the back. Like, sure, yes, she is trying to hold up the attacker, but come on, you can move around that. It's needless, to say the least. Like, I don't think it really would have impacted the play. And it's a foul, and it's in the run of play, and the goal was rightly called back. I think there was another offside that was very, very close. So maybe, I don't know. I look at this game, I look at that first half, great first half performance. The second half performance, I don't think was as good, and it leaves me a little concerned kind of going forward. I'm like, I feel like, maybe it's just me being impatient. I'm like, there's so much talent. They should be controlling games, but, maybe I'm sure Jonathan will tell me, simmer down there, bud. It's going to be fine.
As long as you're getting points while you're figuring it out, you're playing, and just like the way this, obviously the Kansas City game was going to be tough no matter what because of the roster. And I think maybe later in the season when they have it more put together, they're going to be more of a threat, and when they're not injured, when they have their full roster back. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy they were able to get 3 points. I'm happy they're continuing to test their depth and getting opportunities. I was going to say Kundananji not starting, I think, was a surprise, coming in the second half and being dangerous. If they had seen her for full 90 with Oshuala, I think that has always concerned me as a Spirit supporter watching the two of them play at the same time. They're very good. But yeah, I think you got to feel pretty good at where they're at, and hopefully week by week we're continuing to see more players come back. I think Stainbrook, did she get in this game? Yes,
yeah, she did.
Played. She played. So that was her first appearance back from the injury. So maybe you're going to get one back every week, and we can sort of start to see these players who are either short-term injury players or rookies that were not ready to play, can get them off the game day roster back to sort of where we would have assumed they would have started at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and to your credit, I will argue a little bit. You're saying Bernal's the signing this season. I think Mura has been everything we needed her to be, considering Andy Sullivan's out. I think she little rough, I'd say, in the first game, and then she's really kind of settled in. Like I said, that service off the set piece is lovely to see. I think that's going to help out a player like Hatch find more goals. Again, I think it's going to be about getting this team healthy. And, when we see, I think unfortunately, when Bethune is ready to go, she slots right in next to right to Mura. I'd be very curious to see how this team lines up, because Bethune is that one player that can just kind of change everything. with just how creative she is as a number 10. But it might take her a minute to get ready. She's been out for a while. It's going to take a while for her to gain fitness. So,
and I still have not seen her and Santos play on the same field and do well together. Both of them do well yet. In the little time they had together in the field before she got injured, I thought that they were worse when they were both in the field than when one of them was on and one of them wasn't. So hopefully they've got to figure that out, obviously, and they will.
Yeah. And there's also small call out to Kingsbury had some really, really impressive saves. I think that's a reason this game was a shutout. Mostly the fortuitous VAR call review, helped, but Kingsbury had some really, really impressive saves. So, all right, I think that's going to do it, y'all. Thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are incredible with the questions, everything you guys do to support us. And hopefully we'll have some very positive things to talk about. The Spirit, who did they play next? Look, is it the international break? Are they not?
It is international break.
Yeah, so they are not playing next week. So
DC United After Dark is all we got.
Yeah, well, at 5 p.m.
Is it? Oh, it's not After Dark. Damn.
Yeah, it's Sunday at 5 p.m. Yeah, it's a Sunday night. I think it's a Sunday night soccer game, or it's one of the two.
That'll be our only one if it is that.
Yeah,
it is. Honestly, we had one, so that's it. That'll be the one.
That'll be the one. All right, folks, that's gonna do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.